Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back. I'm Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections, and your host of Networking RX, a podcast on professional relationships and business networking. Thanks again for listening, subscribing, and thank you for referring others. And we certainly appreciate the comments and questions. And the comments and questions are great because it always is an indicator to me of other things I need to be talking about, things I need to be touching on, things I need to be reaching out and finding resources on. Today, we're going to talk a little different. We're going to take a little different tact here today. Today is a guest day. I have a guest on. As many of you know, many times I'm just talking, and other times I have guests on and we have conversations. And today's a guest day where we have conversations. But anyhow, as a lead into that, one of the biggest impacts on our relationships are our attitudes towards ourselves and others. But that attitude really kind of drives the relationships we have. And let me just kind of paint a quick picture here, or just I guess almost a rhetorical question. Who would you rather hang around with? Somebody who is sort of upbeat or somebody who's downtrodden? And, again, hopefully it's rhetorical. Hopefully people are saying, I'd rather be around somebody upbeat than somebody downtrodden. And it just, we tend to take on the attitudes of the people that are around us, and so we want people who are upbeat. We want people who lift us up. Not that we oppose or we shouldn't help other people, but all things being equal, we're going to try and bring energized, excited, happy people into our lives. Hopefully, most people, I believe, listening to that get that. And so, attitudes is a real driver again towards ourselves and others. And one of the big drivers of attitudes is, and it's beautiful because it rhymes, is gratitude. And, just being thankful for what we have, being thankful for others. So at any rate, I have been talking with people and doing what I do, networking. And I met a woman named Mary Ceccanese. And Mary is affiliated with the University of Michigan. Many of my friends down here in Columbus, Ohio are not going to like that, but you just have to deal with it. She's the principal consultant with an organization called Dynamic Connections, but she is also, like I said, affiliated with the University of Michigan, the executive education program there. And she does a number of things with respect to gratitude. And so I wanted to get her on and really talk about gratitude as she has learned, because she's learned from some of the very best at the University of Michigan, and have a conversation on gratitude. And then next week, here's my big tease, I will have a neuroscientist on who's going to kind of talk about how she calls it geeking out. Her name is Melissa, but Melissa's going to talk about how gratitude, the inner workings of gratitude in our brain, and what happens from a chemical standpoint. So anyhow, enough of promoting that. Mary, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Frank, for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Now, how did you get into the gratitude thing?
Well, probably about 10 years ago, I was reading Professor Kim Cameron's book, and it's on positive leadership. And the second chapter is about how to create a positive work climate. And the three components of a positive work climate are compassion, forgiveness, and gratitude.
Okay.
And I just thought, those are not words that you hear at work. And I just developed some curiosity and asked Kim some questions, and then just started doing some reading because I wanted to know more about how gratitude affects us. I wanted to know some of the research because it's what people refer to as a soft science. I want to be able to show them that it wasn't just, wouldn't it be nice if that there's actual research behind what happens when we're grateful.
How do you define gratitude?
I refer to Professor Robert Emmons as the guru of gratitude. And he says that it's the acknowledgement of goodness in one's life. So actually thinking about the fact that something has happened to you that's positive, and recognizing that where that came from lies at least partially outside of ourselves. So in other words, somebody did something. A really, really great example of this is, I don't know whether it was like 8-10 years ago, people were in line at the drive-through of Tim Horton, and one person paid for the person behind, and the next person paid for the person behind, and this went on for hours. It's because the way we are wired, when we are grateful, we become generous. And so nobody went up to the cars and said, you have to pay because somebody paid for you. It was just innate in us.
Yeah.
We want to be generous to express our appreciation for having received something.
That's it. Well, this is kind of a funny story aside to that. I've read that, maybe not that particular study or that particular story, but someone else had as well. And we were talking on it. And she said, I really wanted to do that. I really wanted to kind of set this in motion. So she went to McDonald's. They didn't have a Tim Hortons, and it doesn't matter, right? It's a drive-through. Yeah. And she said she waited 10 minutes until a car came up. So she waited 10 minutes just to get somebody behind her. She got somebody behind her and went up to the window to pay and said, well, here's mine, and I want to pay for the person behind me. And the person behind just got a small coffee, so it was like $1.30. She's like, oh, come on, people. I thought that was funny.
Yes.
Anyhow,
yes.
You had indicated that people look at this as a soft science, and it's not really as soft as it once was. I mean, I think the last 30 years, what we've uncovered and the emotions, the benefits of gratitude. I mean, this is not somebody's conjecture. Hey, I think these things.
No.
You cited Dr. Emmons, I think it was. Is
yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Has found all sorts of benefits with respect to gratitude. Can you share what some of those benefits are?
Absolutely, and I want to include Dr. Moore in on this as well, because both of them. In fact, there's more and more people researching gratitude now, and so they keep adding the benefits, which are so fantastic.
Yeah.
When I give a presentation, I talk to people about the fact that, yes, it improves self-esteem, greater psychological, physiological health, ability to cope with everyday stress. Gratitude enhances empathy, reduces aggression, makes us feel closer to God, higher levels of positive emotion, improve relationships, and better sleep. And I'll tell you, I'm not fussy. I'll take any one of those. They're all great benefits.
Yeah. Well, I notice myself that if I can sit in a quiet moment, and I need to take more quiet moments and just kind of take an inventory of my life. I mean, I don't mean a physical inventory, but just an inventory of everything I've got going, and not worry about what I don't have, but just be reflective of what I do have. A sort of calm comes over me.
I'll tell you, I think the researcher's name is Seligman, Marty Seligman. And he says, his research shows that when you go to bed at night, if you just lay your head on the pillow and think about 3 good things that happened that day, you will sleep better. And he said, if you do it for a week, he said, you won't be able to stop because your benefits of happiness and gratitude will increase because of it. So it's like, boy, that doesn't take a lot of work. And when you think about it, at that point, when we're going to bed, our mind quite often is still reeling about our day and what transpired and then what we've got coming tomorrow? What's on the agenda? Where do I have to be and when? And all of these things, instead of, as you were expressing, focusing on, okay, what have I got to be grateful for today? And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of the easiest things I share with people is, we're not talking about, oh, I got a promotion today, or I won the lottery. No, we're talking about things like, one January night, I was driving home from work and I hit 4 green lights in a row.
Right.
And I knew my husband was making homemade chicken soup, and that brought me closer to getting that soup and getting home. And that, for me, that day, that was the thing that I was grateful for.
Yeah.
It just puts your head and your mind in a totally different place.
Yeah. It's several years ago, like my oldest was a senior in high school. I bought 3 5x8 little notebooks. Actually 4. I bought 4. 1 for each of my kids and my wife. In January 1, I started in each one of them writing what I was grateful about them for. And I did it for a year, and January 1 of the next year, I gave them to them. Yeah. And my oldest son, he's pretty stoic, he came down, because it wasn't real ceremonious. It's like, hey, Christmas was over, gifts are over. Here, I wanted to give these to you. I put my last entry in for December 31st, and I handed him. He came downstairs, and he said, I'm going to get choked up here. He said, Dad, stand up. He said, I've got to give you a hug. If I don't give you a hug, my girlfriend said she's going to come down and give you a hug. But yeah, it was certainly great for them, and I see where my wife has it, and my kids all have it, and hopefully it's a kind of a forever keepsake, or until I really tick them off. And but writing it, every day, and it's not always easy every day, right? Because they're, I got teenage kids, my wife, we butt heads, right or wrong. It's just, that's relationships. But to stop and say, okay, today wasn't a great day, but there's something good in today, and I need to figure that out. And, just kind of going through that exercise, it was good. It was good for me. Hopefully it was good for them. I don't know if they've read it. They don't need to, but it's there.
Gratitude is a choice.
Yeah.
So every day you chose to think about something you were grateful for. And there is a lot of research on writing about gratitude, and it benefits you even if they don't say anything. The fact that you took the time to write it, it's embedded in you, all right? And it was one of the greatest gifts that you could ever give them, was that. Yeah. Whether they recognize it now or not, it's not important. The thing is that you did it, and they will have that for the rest of their life. And I am sure they will cherish it.
Well, I hope you're right. Moving on here, we have spoken, and you've shared some materials with me. I certainly, before we finish, want to get on here the work of Glenn Affleck and the cardiac patients. I certainly want to talk about that, and then the study related to gratitude journals.
Yes.
Group 1, the burdens versus the blessings.
Yes.
Start with either one, whatever you want, but I want to certainly get those. I thought those were really powerful.
Okay, very good. Well, Glenn Affleck has studied cardiac patients, and what he's done is he's tracked people who look at the fact that when they had their heart attack, it was someone else's fault. Like, it was all my boss's fault. If he wasn't so mean,
right,
I wouldn't have had this heart attack. Versus someone who goes, oh my gosh, this is a real wake-up call, and I want to make sure that I do something useful with my life. I've been given a second chance. And what he's found is that the first group are 8 times more likely to have a heart attack again within 5 years than the second group.
Oh.
It's just because they chose to be grateful. It's just, like I said earlier, physiological, psychological changes happen when we're grateful.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Well,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, again, these are things that they've always been part of the human condition, if you will, but we're just really tapping into that, hey, they're for real.
Yes.
People have kind of known these things, but science is actually shining an actual data light on these things. And, thank God for computers and and just the advancement of, data and different ways of measuring and testing. It's fascinating to me. But yeah, go ahead. I certainly want to talk about the blessings versus burdens study.
Oh, yes. This is our friend, Professor Emmons again. And I love talking about this. His very first study that he did on gratitude journals was with students because he was teaching. And so
Sure.
He had one group of his students write once a week 3 to 5 things they were grateful for. The second group, they were to write down just everyday things, like things necessarily that kind of went wrong, okay? Once a week, 3 to 5. And then he had a control group that just wrote, all right? So the people that wrote about blessings wrote about their generosity of friends and sunset through the clouds and right to vote. And the people who wrote about their burdens, you knew they worked at a university because hard to find parking was on that list. Finances depleting quickly. And the one that always gets me is, you are definitely having a bad day if you burn your mac and cheese.
Yeah.
So after 10 weeks, he, was doing this study to find out, okay, so what happened to the people who wrote about the blessings? And in all honesty, he was absolutely blown away to find out that they felt better about their lives as a whole, more optimistic about the future, 25% happier than the other participants in the study, fewer health complaints, and they even exercised more.
Interesting.
He was so astounded, he decided he had to do it again because he just didn't think that this was going to be realistic.
Right.
And he found the same thing happened again. So he's done numerous other studies, but those are the ones that I think at this point he's most well known for, are those wonderful gratitude journal studies.
The other thing you had talked about when we spoke that I really want to kind of get on the program, and then I want to spend some time talking about you and your business and how we can help you, but hedonic adaptation.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Hedonic adaptation is one of those academic phrases that we kind of stare at for a while. The best way to explain hedonic adaptation, which is a way to cultivate gratitude when you don't have a lot of time, all right, is to think about, all right, so you see a child who's so excited their birthday is coming and they really want a red bicycle, okay? They're 6 years old. They're like, oh man, this would give me freedom. And they bug you week after week, month after month before their birthday.
I got kids, I get it.
Yes. And so lo and behold, they get the red bicycle and they are over the moon about it. Okay, but a month later, are they that excited? No, they're grateful for it, but they don't stay in that state. Okay, so that's sort of what hedonic adaptation is that we come back to a certain state after a while. All right. And this goes along with the give it up practice. That's part of savoring what you have. And I always tell people that I will never be part of the research study by Kodbak and Dunn because they recommend that you abstain from chocolate for a while and come back and try it again later and you'll enjoy it again more. And I'm like, no way. Chocolate is the 5th food group, so it's not going to happen.
Well, it's interesting because I love pizza. You're Italian.
Yes. Yes.
I love pizza, and I say there's no such thing as bad pizza. There's good pizza and great pizza, but all pizza is at least good.
Yes.
But I wonder, could I eat it every day? And the chance, probably not. There would be a marginal utility of joy. But if I don't have it for a while, there's a real craving for it.
Yes.
I've got to have pizza.
And you take that first bite and you're just like,
yeah. So we're running short here. Let's switch gears. Tell us a little bit about dynamic connections and how people, one, can help you, what you're looking for, clients, connections with respect to that, and then how we get a hold of you.
Fantastic. Thank you for asking. Well, I've been giving presentations for about 12 years now. And most of the time it's been around the University of Michigan. But about 2 years ago, I was encouraged that I should just start my own business. And when you have a faculty member and others encouraging you to do that, you kind of think like, you know what, maybe I should.
Right.
And I have to tell you, that was the smartest decision I made. I'm having a ball, and I am able to go around not only the university, but outside the university now. As you mentioned, I'm at the University of Michigan, so I'm in the Ann Arbor area, Southeast Michigan. But I'm also getting opportunities to go outside the university now, and I'm very grateful for that. I give all research-based presentations on various topics, everything from how to create your reflected best self, which is an exercise created here by the faculty at the business school, to job crafting. How do you take your job and turn it into the one that you dream of, right? To building connections between people. There's a ton of research by Professor Jane Dutton on what she calls high-quality connections. These are interactions we have. They're not relationships. So you pass someone in a hall, and if you smile at them, whether they smile back or not, that uplifts you. All right, so there's tons of research on that. So I have, like I said, the opportunity to do this and to spread the good word.
Right.
And the best way to get a hold of me is probably through email. And of course, with the name Ceccanese, it's not always easy for people, but it's just Mary.Ceccanese, as in Sam, @gmail.com. Or you can go to dynamicconnectionsllc.com and you can find me there.
Well, I will put I'll put your email in the show notes. So
fantastic!
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
people, I find that most people are driving or doing something on a treadmill when they're listening to a podcast, and so to the extent I can simplify it, I will.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your time. Thank you. I appreciate you being on and sharing about gratitude. Listeners, we've had Mary Ceccanese on, and she's with the University of Michigan talking on gratitude. And I'm very, very grateful you took the time.
Thank you so much for asking me. I think you can tell this is something I'm very passionate about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will connect you with my guest for next week, Dr. Melissa Hughes, and you can make a connection down in Florida. She can have you down.
Fantastic.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.